Hi everybody and welcome back to the Going For It Sim Studio. I have been spending a lot of time in my simulator here, and I also help quite a few folks with their own builds. And as we hit the winter time in the Northern Hemisphere, simulators start to recoup back in your brain, and you might be thinking, this is the year I build my dream simulator. So you start gathering all the bits and pieces you need, but then you realize that it's pretty overwhelming very quickly. So what I want to do today is simply go over a few mistakes that I see a lot of people make both on YouTube and when I'm working with them and we initially go over their original plan to save you a little bit of rebuilding or even a significant cost in the future. Let's go over those. Building your own simulator is incredibly exciting. Trust me, I get it. But you quickly get overwhelmed because there's a lot of bits and pieces that go into creating an entire simulator. Whether you're just doing a pop-up and you're setting up your launch monitor, or you're gonna build a complete luxury built-in setup like this. So when you get into that process, there's a couple things that I've seen, whether it's stuff I've seen on YouTube, or stuff that goes across my Instagram feed, or when I help people build their own setups, stuff that they tell me initially that I notice, hey, you also forgot this, that, and the other. The first mistake that I see a lot is just make sure the launch monitor is gonna work for your setup. A radar-based versus a camera-based system can pull some interference from certain items in your space. It's a simple call or email to the manufacturer. They may want to see a photo or a video, but confirm that that launch monitor is going to work for your space. It's also a good time to make sure that you measure twice. Yes, we were taught that from a very early age. Measure twice, cut once. Take your entire space and check that that launch monitor is going to have sufficient space. Please don't run into the minimum requirements. All you're going to do is have a lot of shot errors, and it's going to frustrate you in the future when it's a problem that you could have solved much earlier in your simulator planning process. And again, step one, just make sure you have enough space to swing the club. I get a lot of folks call me on the phone even, and say, hey, I want to do this. And I ask them, the first thing they say is, but my ceiling height is only 8 feet, 8.5 feet. It's just not enough. And don't kid yourself, you're not going to only want to hit up to X iron because the length starts to get too close to where you're hitting. It's dangerous for not only the stuff you're going to hit, but you can injure yourself if you try to fit a simulator in a pretty tight space. Now we're going to move on to more safety and the padding that goes around the frame. So whether you do a built-in simulator like this or you're going to have a pop-up simulator, they're all made with conduit. That's what the frame is. Conduit is metal. Golf balls are very bouncy and hard. When you hit a golf ball at over 100 miles an hour into a piece of metal, it's going to ricochet, and it's really, really dangerous. And I can promise you, if you're sitting there going, you know what, I don't need to get that stuff because I'm not going to hit it that often, you're going to hit it a heck of a lot more than you think you do. And it's only going to take once that it's going to hurt you. Think of it like insurance. It's one of those things that we all hate to pay for, but when it needs to be used, you're incredibly thankful that you have it, because not only are ricochets dangerous for you as the golfer, but they're dangerous for other people in the sim and stuff that's around it. A lot of folks have simulators in garages, and even if it's in your nice house, you have windows somewhere and doors and stuff you don't want nicked up, cars in the garage. Just take a little bit of it. Make sure you put extra money to make sure that you pad that frame. Now, if the foam padding they provide is just a little bit out of your budget, you can make do for now by going to Home Depot or Lowe's and picking up some pipe insulation. It'll go right over that conduit, and it does a great job at slowing down that ricochet. Not as good as the foam, and it does tear easier when you have a direct strike, but it's definitely going to get you started so that you can play and eventually upgrade to that foam. Another thing that I see really common is people forget about the ceiling. They forget about wedge shots. Wedge shots have a lot steeper of a launch angle than your normal iron and driver shots do. And you know what? You don't really can't tell outside, but when you're inside, they go up. And they go up really fast. And honestly, that's where most of the ricochets come. If I have a miss hit with an iron or a longer club, a wood or a driver, it's gonna hit the side impact panels, most of the time. You know, I do have a couple marks up here, 1 or 2 from friends who have tried to swing a driver a little too hard. They topped it straight up and that just goes right back down, right? That's not a dangerous ricochet. It's those wedges. And there's multiple options. You just have to think about it. If you're doing a custom built sim, you don't want to just have a ceiling up there. It's not going to work. If you have the pop-up type, it's got that canvas that rolls over, and generally that's going to be okay. Should be able to contain most of that, because those you can just get really deep. So you're not trying to run a really narrow looking enclosure. I made the mistake by making mine too narrow. I only went 48 inches out, should have gone 60, even 72 just to protect it. 72 might look a little weird, but you know, you can kind of feel it out. But I've got some marks here that 1 extra foot, maybe an extra 2 feet would have protected. When it hits the wall, because it's drywall, the ricochets are actually somewhat tolerable, but it's still something that just doesn't look good. I mean, look at this one over here. I guess you could probably see it better, right? That one's just kind of funny. I kind of like to leave it there. If you need to find options, I have the acoustic tiles. They're like the egg carton. Those, they've been okay. I want to replace it. I've got some plans this winter to get a little bit better of a ceiling situation. I really like the ability to just hang the material that's just going to catch them. I think they call them safety baffles. They're just hung up there on wire and they'll catch the wedge shots. I think that's probably the most efficient and safest solution. And if you're doing some sort of situation that has open walls. Now this is a setup that I have seen on Instagram or on photos of these really nice looking simulators that was clearly built by a designer and not by somebody who's a golfer. They don't have any sides. And again, I know, you're never gonna miss a shot. It's never gonna miss this screen. Look how big it is. I mean, it's 14 feet wide. It's almost 9 feet tall. Like, there's no way I'm gonna miss it. I'm only 10 feet away. You're gonna miss it, I promise. You know, you get tired or you're not paying attention and you hit a ball that goes the wrong way. And if you don't have anything on the sides because you're in a really big open space, you're just leaving yourself open to that ball doing damage somewhere. You know, at minimum, get some netting you can put down. If you don't want to hurt the walls or you just cannot get the impact panels because they cost too much money, movie theater curtains are fantastic. They're really heavy and they stop that ball in a heartbeat. It's just a little bit different of a look. And then don't forget about behind you, right? So this direction for me is my garage. I'm in a tandem garage. So this space is just a continuation of a 2-car garage here. And I normally have my truck parked here. My wife parks her car here. And then I have some random storage stuff around. And I've got my studio lighting. If I have a ball hit here and go this way, it's gonna hit a vehicle more than likely. Now, I do like to only play when there are no vehicles, just in case. I've never had a ball go into the garage, but as a safety precaution, I did buy a curtain from a tarp company that's like a see-through black tarp that I can hang on like a curtain rails, and I could slide it back and forth if I ever thought that that was gonna be something I wanted. I got that when I first built the sim, thinking that a lot of balls were gonna go backwards, but I've done such a good job protecting everything up here. Doesn't really happen too often. So those are just a few things I want everybody to think about while you're building a sim. There's more to the excitement of just, hey, let's get it built. I can't wait to play whatever software I bought, get that launch monitor set up. It's gonna be amazing, because it is. But you wanna be safe. And a lot of this stuff will save you from having to replace more expensive stuff that a golf ball hit, an injury to yourself, injury to people that are playing in your sim. You don't wanna have any of that liability. So as you build your dream sim, be excited, but just make sure you think of the safety stuff. Don't forget it. Please like, follow, and subscribe. I love golf simulators. I can't wait to continue to explain what I have learned, give it to you so that you can have that dream sim you've always wanted.